Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress. Only 57 days till the World Championship match between Carlsen and Caruana. That is only 8 weeks. It will be here before you know it. It will all start on November 9th in London. And on Chess to Impress we continue the countdown, the build up towards the big match, by looking at all the 46 earlier matches for the world title. Carlsen Caruana will be number 47. We have arrived in 1951. The 6th world champion Botvinnik defended his title for the first time against his compatriot David Bronstein. This was the first world championship organized by the World Chess Federation FIDE, which was founded in 1924. Zonal, interzonal and a candidates tournament were organized. David Bronstein and Isaac Boleslavsky finished joint first in the candidates tournament. Bronstein won the playoff. And a funny fact is that many years later he also married Boleslavsky's daughter Tatiana. David Bronstein was born in Ukraine in a Jewish family and learned chess from his grandfather at the age of 6. He became Kiev champion at the age of 15 and earned the Soviet master title at 16 for his second place result in the 1940 Ukrainian Championships. He grew from strength to strength and earned the Grandmaster title in 1950, 1 year before he challenged Botvinnik for the world title. The match was held in the Tchaikovsky Concert Hall in Moscow, the best of 24 games, and in case of a 12-12 tie, Botvinnik would retain the title. Here we see both players at the board, world champion Botvinnik on the left and his challenger David Bronstein on the right. In this video we're going to have a look at game 22. Let's get into it. Game 22 was played on the 6th of May 1951. The score was even, 10.5 against 10.5. Bronstein was white, Botvinnik was black, and it was the top player of those days, Savieri Tartakover, who called this the most beautiful game of the match. d4 from the challenger, e6 from the world champion, c4, and Botvinnik plays the Dutch defense. g3, knight f6, bishop gets fianchettoed, bishop e7, knight c3, and Botvinnik castled. Here knight f3 is the main move, and also knight h3 is played a lot, but Bronstein goes for e3, a less popular move. d5, Botvinnik is transposing into the Dutch stone wall. The knight goes to e2, c6, this is a typical stone wall pawn formation for black. b3, knight e4, Bronstein castled, knight was developed, and the bishop indeed often goes to b2 in the stone wall. Knight df6, strengthening the grip on the e4 square. Queen d3 and g5, a typical pawn thrust in the stone wall. C takes d5. The drawback of this move is that after e takes d5, black's problem piece on c8 gets improved. That bishop now feels somewhat better about life now that this pawn is gone. It has a bit more scope now. f3, kicking the knight, and the knight took on c3. And now the age-old problem, how to recapture. With the queen, with the knight, or with the bishop, all three are possible. Bronstein took with the bishop. g4, and that pawn was taken. If you take back with the pawn, then that gives white a chance to push in the center with e4. Botvinnik did not want to allow that, and he took with the knight on g4, maintaining control over that crucial square. Bishop h3, nice move from Bronstein, preventing the knight going to e4 through f6. And also Bronstein is now threatening to take the knight, and when it's taken back, then he can play e4. So knight f6 is now not possible, because then that just costs that pawn. The queen is also protecting the f5 square. So knight h6 was played instead by Botvinnik. Knight f4, bishop d6, and Bronstein is going to take space on the queen side. a6 and a4. Queen e7, Botvinnik is now attacking that pawn on b4 with 2 pieces. It's only defended once. Rook a b1 from Bronstein, protecting the b4 pawn. Grandmaster Keen is analyzing this game in a book that I have, and he's suggesting for black to now reroute the knight through f7 to g5 and then to e4. But the world champion plays b5. Bishop back to g2, knight back to g4, bishop d2, knight reroutes to f6 on its way to e4, rook b2, bishop d7, rook a1. Both players are maneuvering their pieces. There comes the knight into that beautiful square. Bishop to e1, rook fe8, and queen b3. And now white has a concrete threat. Let's have a look at the threat. Let's make a stupid move for black. Let's play h6 just to show white's threat. And that is a takes b5, a takes, then the rook gets swapped, and then there is the very nice shot, knight takes d5, winning a pawn. Because you cannot take the knight because of queen takes, and that is a queen fork. White wins. King g7, and then the rook disappears off the board. So that is the threat after queen b3. And that's why Botvinnik played the king to h8 to deal with that threat. Bronstein doubled his rooks on the a-file. Queen went back to f8, and the knight went to d3. Here queen h6 is the best move, attacking the e3 pawn. But Botvinnik plays rook a b8, and that is a mistake. Now white gets an advantage. Bronstein took, Botvinnik took back, and the rook came into a7, into black's position. Rook e7, protecting the bishop, and knight e5. Taking the knight was the best idea according to Grandmaster Keen. Then d takes e5 and bishop e6, with a defensible position as Keen writes. But white is also better here. Botvinnik chose not to take the knight but played bishop e8. And this is the move of the game. On the internet, white's next move received a lot of praise. Bronstein played g4. Very nice. After making progress on the queen side, he now switches his activities to the other side of the board and sacrifices a pawn here. Botvinnik took it, and bishop takes e4, taking off the strong knight and breaking up black's team. You have to take back, and now there are some holes in black's position. And this is also a very beautiful move, bishop h4. It's attacking the rook, and if you take on a7, then rook takes with a very strong attack against black's king. With many white pieces, and for example you cannot take the knight to take off one attacker because d takes e5 and the threat bishop f6 decides this game. After bishop h4, when your rook is attacked, you can go to g7, but then queen e6 is the winning move. And because of the same threat, bishop f6, white wins. So what to do after bishop h4? Botvinnik in the end decided on an exchange sacrifice. He took that strong knight off the board with his rook. D takes and bishop takes, and is hoping to defend this position and exchange down. And now another very beautiful move from Bronstein. Rook a1 to f1, beautifully switching the point of attack. Hitting the queen stepped aside, and another very nice move, bishop g3. What an amazing move, bishop g3. We should not forget that white's queen is hanging. What if you just take that queen? Well, then there is mate in 2. Rook f8 check. Queen back is the only option, and then this is a very nice checkmate. You cannot take that bishop, because then black will get checkmated very quickly with queen c3 check. The long diagonal is now open. Bishop e5, queen takes, and all black can do is interpose his pieces, and this is checkmate. So after bishop g3 you cannot take white's bishop, you cannot leave the long diagonal, and Botvinnik played bishop g7. But one other thing that bishop on g3 does is attack the unprotected rook on b8. Bronstein simply took on g8, swapped the queens, and the world champion resigned. After king takes, bishop takes b8, white is decisive material up. David Bronstein won this game and was now leading the match by 11.5 points to 10.5 with only 2 games to go. There was high drama in this match, as you can see from this table. Botvinnik won the 23rd game with the white pieces to make it 11.5. So to win the match, Bronstein had to win the last game, but that one ended in a draw. So it was 12-all, the match was equal, and as per the regulations, Michael Botvinnik retained the world title. There were many rumors and many stories about how this match ended, and especially Botvinnik's win in the 23rd game. This is one of the versions that I will read out to you. There were rumors that Bronstein had been forced by the Soviet authorities to lose the 23rd game. Bronstein told the story about his father having been wrongly imprisoned in the 1930s, and that he started to play chess to get his father out of prison. Shortly before the 23rd game of the World Championship match, the head of the KGB paid him a visit. He introduced Bronstein to his wife and congratulated him on his lead in the match. When Bronstein took his place at the board for the 23rd game, he noticed his parents in the audience. There were also 2 empty chairs on the first row. After the game had started, the head of the KGB and another KGB member came in, took the empty seats and fixated their eyes on Bronstein. When he looked up from the board, the 2 KGB men looked in the direction of Bronstein's parents. He immediately realized what the message was. And Bronstein said, "I started to play chess to get my father out of prison, and I gave up my chances for the world title to keep my father out of prison." This is one version. There are many other versions, and we probably will never know what happened before the 23rd game. 3 years later, in 1954, Michael Botvinnik defended his world championship title again against another compatriot. It was the turn of Vasily Smyslov, and I will tell you about that match in the next video. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel, and please leave a comment. I will read them all and I will reply to them all. If you like the video, if you like this series, please share the video or the playlist by clicking the share option on YouTube. The link to the playlist is here, and this is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.